What cars did the F1 drivers drive to the Silverstone track? It was an array of magnificent vehicles and some surprises in there too. I'll tell you more from the Hotel Dubrovnik Palace in 8 seconds time. Let's get straight into it. What was the most impressive vehicle that a driver drove to the track? For my money, it was Daniel Ricciardo's McLaren 720S. What an impressive looking vehicle. And on race day, Daniel came in this car with the roof off. Now, there's no doubt that that would have given his fans a real thrill, because with the Silverstone circuit, you have to drive through a lot of the public areas to get to the parking for the paddock. So those fans would have seen him without a roof on, without a window up, and would have been absolutely stoked. But what a magnificent looking car. And not to be outdone, Lando Norris also had a McLaren. This time he had a GT. On 3 of the days he drove in on his own in his GT McLaren with those beautiful doors. One day he didn't drive in on his own, he actually flew in via helicopter. This helicopter, which dropped him off at the helipad, and he was whisked across to the paddock in a McLaren car. But if you're talking luxury supercars, I tell you what, you wouldn't get 2 better cars than these two, would you? So these drivers are indeed fortunate to be in the very best of the best. The Mercedes drivers, Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas. Well, Lewis came in a black G-Wagon. I don't think I've ever seen him drive in. It's always Angela that drives the car and drops him off at the paddock gate sometimes, or parks in the car park and he walks across the car park. He was staying at the track in a motorhome, but the motorhome area is about 1 kilometre away. In fact, both of the drivers had motorhomes. And Valtteri Bottas, on a couple of the days, came in this blue G-Wagon with his trainer Antti Ferrula. And on 2 of the days came in via scooter. Once again, like Daniel, he actually came through the crowd. And a reminder that all of my videos come to you with the compliments of Canity.com, the world's best online staff training. The Red Bull drivers drove the oldest cars to the track. Both were driving Honda NSXs. Sergio Perez, seen here with this red NSX, is actually driving Ayrton Senna's old car. This is not a car that he just drove once. He owned this car, I believe, and that's certainly what Sergio believed. He didn't realise he was getting this car until he exited his motorhome on the Thursday morning, media day. He actually posed for some shots with the car with the official Red Bull photographer in the paddock car park at one stage, as did Max Verstappen, who was driving a gold-coloured car. And my word, they looked absolutely impressive. Now, these cars must be around 30 years old, and they still look spectacular today. Moving on to the Alpine drivers, Esteban was driving an Alpine car, funnily enough. He was often one of the last drivers to arrive into the paddock. He was staying in a motorhome inside the track. And his teammate, Fernando Alonso, I thought might have also driven an Alpine, but he ended up coming in on a scooter and was hard to catch, because of the fact that on most of the occasions I was shooting somebody else and I'd look across to the road and just catch a quick glimpse of him and a shot here or there with his trainer and his manager alongside him. Were the Ferrari drivers driving Ferraris? You betcha. And once again, they were driving Romas. They loved the Romas, I guess partially because they can fit 4 people in them, albeit a little bit squashy in the back because those seats are quite small. Charles once again had a black Roma. I'm just thinking this year, I think he's had pretty much all black cars if he's been driving a Ferrari into the track. And he would often fit his girlfriend Charlotte and his trainer Andrea and sometimes his manager Nicholas Todd into that car. And something I realised last race, when you turn the car off for a certain period of time, the Roma logo appears on the dashboard. Of course, if you drive a Roma, you'll know that. But I'm going to suggest most of you, like me, do not own a Ferrari Roma. And Carlos, on the other hand, had well, this is not red. I don't even know what colour this is. This is like a deep red, isn't it? On one day, the pair of them came in a convoy, back to back. Now, I don't think that was planned. I think that was sheer fluke. And in that case, we're faced with a bit of a dilemma as to, do we go to Charles, do we go to Carlos? And both of the drivers actually did the driving. Carlos with his girlfriend Isabel Hanez in the front seat on a couple of days, and Charles with his girlfriend in the front seat on a couple of days. Aston Martin drivers. Were they driving Aston Martins? Well, One was Lance Stroll. He came in an Aston Martin on some days with his trainer Martin Poole and on other days with his girlfriend Sarah Pagliaroli. But at the end of the day on Thursday, media day, he left in one of these, a Mercedes V250D. Come to Dubrovnik. It's simply amazing. Once again, the AlphaTauri drivers both came in and left in Honda Civic Type Rs, which are a beautiful car. Now, in the past, they've had pretty much grey and light blue, but this race, they came in two completely different colours. I've not seen them come in a very bright red and a very bright blue. Yuki driving the red, Pierre in the blue. Pierre came in with his trainer and his manager on all of the days. And Yuki came in with his trainer and this young woman, Amy Swift. And we don't know a great deal about Amy. And today, if you're watching this the day I'm posting it, I've just put up 4 new images from the British Grand Prix. These are raw images, and if you're any sort of photographer who wants to play around with the actual raw image out of the camera, you just need to join up as a VIP member on the channel, go to the community tab, and then download those 4 raw images. And you can use them for your own private purposes to have a play around with. So this is the highest form of photo that we shoot, and you get them absolutely free of charge. Kimi Räikkönen driving a Stelvio, an Alfa Romeo, and he often comes in the Stelvio, whereas Antonio Giovinazzi will come in the Giulia, and that's pretty much been the norm for every race this year with the 2 Alfa Romeo drivers. Who did they come in with? Both came in with their trainers, although on 2 days Antonio came in on his own. Now, he will often do that, and he's one of few drivers to do that. Lando is another one that will often drive in on his own, but most of the time the drivers come in with somebody, a trainer, a friend, a manager, in the car with them. 4 more drivers to go, and then I've got a couple of extras that may surprise you. George Russell loves the Mercedes. He was driving a beautiful white AMG C63, and on a couple of the days he was accompanied by his girlfriend Carmen Montero Munt and also his trainer Aleix Casanovas from Barcelona. Whereas Nicholas Latifi, his teammate, was driving a Jag, an F-Pace 20D to be exact, a larger car, and he was accompanied by his girlfriend on a couple of the days, Sandra Jivashek. And the final 2 drivers from Haas, Mick Schumacher, what was he driving? Well, he wasn't driving anything. He was riding a Yamaha MT-09. And the thing with Mick is that he doesn't take his helmet off at the car park. He waits until he's inside the paddock, or certainly well away from the photographers. And his teammate Nikita Mazepin? Well, Nikita came in a big SUV. However, he was one of the only drivers, apart from Lewis, to be dropped off right at the gates. He's also, like Lewis, the only other driver to have security. Both he and his father, Dimitri, have security. In fact, I did catch Dimitri rolling up on a scooter at one stage, riding here a Suzuki Address scooter. That's what the 20 F1 drivers drove to the track. Now, I'll give you a couple of extras, and this car in particular is owned by David Richards, who runs a company called ProDrive, but he's got a rich history in F1, and you may know him from many years ago. However, this was the car he was driving, in a magnificent Aston Martin Volante. And he left it in the car park with the roof off, allowing us to have a look inside this most magnificent vehicle, which I think is a 1969 model. See this motorcycle? Can you pick which team boss rode this into the track? And it certainly surprised me. This is Jost Capito's bike, a KTM 890. Now, while Seb rode a cycle into the track, he did actually have an Aston Martin. It was this magnificent orange-coloured one, and it was driven, I think, on all of the days by Antti Konsas, his trainer. So all in all, a pretty impressive field of vehicles. And the drivers who happened to leave on Friday evening from the paddock and drive back to the motorhomes inside the track would have been faced with a healthy delay like me. It took us every bit of an hour to get from the car park, which is in the middle of the track, to the exit of the track. It's at this point that I'm going to ask you to like the video if you haven't done so, and I'll hang on a sec while you do that. it's the little button down the bottom that says like with the thumbs up. So please, if you could click that now, I'd be most appreciative. If you haven't subscribed, here's your opportunity to do that too, and you get these videos absolutely free of charge with the compliments of Canity.com, the world's best online staff training platform. You can find my F1 driver books and the new 2021 Best Of book. This has photos of every single driver in it. You'll get them at kimillman.com. All of my picks are available for digital download at prostarpicks.com, where you can search by race or driver's name. And for my best pics live from the track and all during the week, head to Instagram and search at Kim Illman.
Thanks for watching and stay passionate.